Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm just a casual racer, and I have an amazing exclusive preview for you all. This is a project that we're developing over at Authentic Simulation, or in other words, we're actually assisting Nukedrop Tracks. Tyrone is the co-owner at Authentic Simulation as well, and that's where I'm also a co-owner, and we're developing all the buildings and all the trackside assets for this circuit, and then Nukedrop Studios is leading the main entire overall project. So this is obviously being, a street course. There's a lot of buildings to develop and that type of thing. So that's how I'm involved with the Assetto Corsa version and the development of the San Diego street course, which is going to be hosting NASCAR's Southern California race next year. It's going to be June 19th through 21st in Coronado, which is right off the coast. It's an island off the coast of San Diego. So NASCAR is coming to that Southern California market within a track that is on federal land, so they don't have to deal with all the California bureaucracy, such as, environmental restrictions. I mean, there's so many animal, wildlife things. I know Buttonwillow Raceway, for example, they had to deal with a rodent that was causing a ton of problems, and they had to do so many stuff with that. It just complicates construction, right? They're on federal land. They're at the Navy base. They can do so much more stuff. There's so much more flexibility for construction. And the other great thing, too, is they got runways. They got actual room to maneuver and room to be creative. So really kind of an exciting venue, I think, for NASCAR. This is potentially one of the better things they've done in the last decade, I would say. And I could easily see this being something that sticks around for a while on their schedule, for sure. Just the flexibility. If they don't like a corner, you could change it, You can just go in and change it for the next year. So exciting to see. I think it's going to be really cool to see celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Navy as well. I know, in July, right? Not quite July 4th, but it's kind of the weekend before. A couple weekends before, they always have the huge fireworks show. So I'm sure there's some people, especially those with a little bit more money in their pocket, might come down and make a week of it or so. But it's a little bit long. You'd have to definitely stretch it. But I'm sure some will. Overall, this circuit, right, this area we're in the runway, so they could actually open up some of the walls. I don't know, right? All the information we're relying on is public information, right? A lot of this has already been released to the public, and then we have a lot of experience working. So, for example, we've worked with Stock Car Pro Series down in Brazil, helping to design the Belo Horizonte street circuit. We've worked with other, I can't really divulge the information, but other professional racing organizations, race teams, private individuals, for training purposes, all kinds of stuff to develop racetracks. And over those years, we've learned how to interpret a lot of information to how does the limited information we have available publicly for the San Diego Street Course, how do we interpret that information accurately to present it to all of you? And so that's what we've done our best here. I'm sure there's going to be imperfections in some places, and I'm sure some things will get changed. Widths and things like that are somewhat estimated. But I'm going to take you through. I've gone through one lap. Let's take you through a lap of the circuit right now. I'll walk you through kind of my thoughts on it, specifically as it relates to the course. This is the starting area. You're going to come down. Turn 1 here is going to be a fast right-hander out to the wall. Turn 2, it's going to be a great passing opportunity. Midway Museum, right near here. Left-hander here. Down into first gear. Great passing opportunity. Turn 2, another great passing opportunity. You can see some switchbacks and battling down the straightaway. Should be big old grandstands off to the right. Main parking area will be off to the right. Turn 4. This is kind of a faster, maybe turn 2, turn 1, depends on gearing ratios, but you'll definitely carry quite a bit of speed. You're going to work your way down, not a perfect straightaway, down into turn 5. Now we're the coast, and the coast is all out ahead of us. San Diego beyond that, so I guess the bay. Now we turn out of this corner. Got a long run, not perfectly straight. They might try to call some of these corners, they really aren't. And now you come into, I believe this is turn 7, which is going to be another big, you got run off to the left there, sharp right corner, followed by a quick left. This is going to be a huge passing opportunity. There's a parking lot right to the right behind us now. Great spot for grandstands to be. I think that's going to be another great spot to watch the race from. Now we got an uphill left-hand corner here, kind of sweeping. You should be able to carry a decent amount of speed, but I can also see drivers potentially losing it in that corner. Slightly tighter, deceivingly tight right-hander. We're on to the runways of this Navy base, because they do have airplanes here. right-hand sequence there, left-right. I think that's potentially just going to string out the cars a little bit. So I think there won't quite be as much passing here, but they can do a lot in these sections of the track, as I kind of pointed out. Now the left-hander, now we're running back to home here. Gonna have a faster left-hander here. Really be interested to see what the cars can do around a corner like this. Push the limits. I'm sure when in qualifying, somebody will end up putting in the wall there. Finally come into a heavy braking zone. Got a right-left sequence. Plenty of runoff. Potentially side-by-side battles. Potentially. Let's say someone maybe screws up or isn't quite willing to throw it into that fast left-hander. Someone else might, and they might catch him and have a chance to throw it up the inside to those final left-right. Final corner, left-hander, a little bit tricky. I think it's going to be slower than people initially think. Pit lane on the right. So, really exciting track venue here. Hopefully these couple of laps around the circuit have given an idea. Why don't I get up in the air and talk you through a few more things that I've noticed. Alrighty, so we've zoomed out here, and I want to walk you through some of the aspects that maybe you didn't quite see from ground level. And this is obviously all on federal land. This is the naval base in Coronado. This is going to be NASCAR San Diego weekend. I'm sure there might be some other branding. This is going to be America's Navy celebrating their 250th anniversary. This is going to be a crazy event. And so let's walk through this circuit a little bit. I believe this is going to be turn one. Obviously, we have to rely on a lot of the same information. You have the public. We don't really have anyone on the inside per se, but we are really good due to our years of working with professional racing series such as the Stock Car Pro Series down in Brazil. We've also worked with many different confidential clients and things like that for other racing series. And so we've just kind of learned how to maybe interpret some of this data pretty accurately. So this is based a lot on what's available publicly and our best interpretations of that available public data. So starting area, I believe the starting line will be here. It could be here, but I believe it'll all be here. Pit lane, as our understanding, is going to be right here. And so you have this opening area. This makes a lot of sense, right? You got the naval base. You got so much room to build here. Honestly, so much of this part of the track could actually even be opened up. And, you know, when you build on federal base, you don't have to worry about the same sort of construction requirements as you do in most of the rest of California. One of the hardest areas to do any sort of construction due to environmental restrictions, animal restrictions. I mean, I know Buttonwillow Raceway, for example, and a whole bunch of things they had to deal with for a little rodent of some kind. You know, it's just a nightmare in California. Built in a naval base, totally different. You're under a lot of federal regulations. A lot of California laws don't apply. So when we're looking at these big open areas to build on, honestly, if they get approval to do something in S's or whatever, they could have done that. So you end up with a lot more options here. You also end up with options where a lot of this stuff could be tweaked. So this is based on the current plans, but stuff could be tweaked. For example, if they wanted to add Suzuka S's somewhere in here, maybe in this section here, they could. You know, they can do some really cool, crazy things. If after a race one year, they decide, you know what, this corner really didn't work, let's reprofile this corner, for example, the final corner. You know, they can make changes. So they can widen, narrow. So many options for NASCAR with this circuit. And also the other great thing is, too, honestly, this could be just the location. You know, San Diego's a great location. They need a Southern California base for NASCAR. I could see this being here for a decade. This could be a permanent major venue for NASCAR just because of this is honestly a perfect selection, and this could easily be something for where NASCAR partners with the military and the Navy especially. They get funding from the government. They have a venue where they don't have to worry about a lot of the bureaucracy that you can run into the rest of Southern California. I could see this easily turning into a major staple on the NASCAR calendar. So with that out of the way, let's jump in. Obviously, like I mentioned, there's a lot of different ways things could change, but let's see the way the current plans are. Start-finish line is here. You're going to be going, this is a counterclockwise or an anti-clockwise track. You're going to go through turn one as I walk through. It's a sweeping right-hander. Then these are going to be two of the best action areas right here, turn two and turn three. Two 90-degree left-handers. You have, if we move over here, you're going to see we have the parking lot for, and this is where the aircraft carrier, the Midway is normally stationed, is right in here. You know, you got the Midway Museum and all of that. It's a big parking lot. It's where the main parking is going to be for this event. There'll be some parking in other places too as well, but this will be the primary parking for the event. This is going to have a ton of grandstands. Like I mentioned, they could have a start-finish line here. They could even maybe try to fit the pits, but our understanding is pit line's going to be here, or also understanding start-finish line is going to be here. So you turn two, turn three, and then you kind of got this sweeping right-hander for turn four. You got this going down, and now you're on the coast. You know, you got these beautiful views. San Diego will be off in the distance. Sweeping left-hander, and this is that kind of slightly, not exactly straight, into, and this is probably going to be the second or could potentially be the best braking zone here, and this sequence here. So if you're looking for a spot we're going to see overtaking passes, I think these would be the spots I'd be looking for to find a grandstand. I assume this will be the main grandstand area though, and then there'll probably be another grandstand over here. There's a nice parking lot which would be perfect for it. So then if we move back this way, you'll see after we get through this corner, this is, I believe I said turn 6, you got another kind of sweeper here out of that. Then you got that uphill left-hander, and then this is the sequence, like I said, could have the walls not so close, could be more open, more like a traditional racetrack. A lot of flexibility with design that they can do here. You're going to be racing over the, the air base and many of the runways and airplane storage areas. So you're going to race around there. Let's flip around, show you looking from this direction. And you'll be racing along here, up, left-hander. You got this like kind of chicane, right-left sequence near the end. And then you got this final kind of tricky left-hander. You'll have the pit lane going off to the right, and then back to the start of life. This is a 5.5 kilometer loop, as I've mentioned, which works out to just under 3.5 miles. So exciting, really interesting layout. You want to dive in, like I said, as we learn more information, we're going to make adjustments. We have 2 weeks to go before, probably 2 weeks of work before we're going to feel comfortable releasing this to our members. This project is being developed by Nukedrop Tracks with full support from Authentic Simulation, which Tyrone is a co-owner of with me, and so we're doing all the buildings and a lot of the trackside assets, and then he is primarily focused on doing like a lot of this legwork here. And so we've been working on this for the last while, and so we're really excited to finally have the announcements out. So now we can announce the track to you all and develop this for all of you. And yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. If you're interested in any of this stuff, if you need a track for racetrack for training, if you're a race team, if you need a track, if you're a racing series and you want to work with us to develop, our rates are very reasonable for the commercial side. We'd love to work with you on that type of stuff. We do a lot of work right now already with racing teams, car companies, training facilities, all kinds of stuff. So we'd love to work with you over at Authentic Simulation, and we're really excited to be partnering with Nukedrop Tracks to develop this circuit. And then ultimately, I believe this circuit will be eventually available over at SimVendor.com as a free release. Of course, if NASCAR ever wanted to reach out and do an officially licensed version, we would love to do that, bring that to some of our games we have in development, like our Otozi racing game series that we're working on. But, of course, for now, you can expect it, like I said, roughly a little over 2 weeks. Should be an early access version, should be available for you guys to enjoy, both at Nukedrop and at Authentic Simulation. Patreon / also available through Discord memberships. Alrighty, hope you enjoyed this video, this early preview at the San Diego weekend for NASCAR. It's going to be happening June 19th through 21st at the Coronado Naval Base. It's going to be amazing, celebrating the 250th anniversary of America's Navy, and I hope that all of you can swing by and check out those Patrons for both Nukedrop and Authentic Simulation in the meantime. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week.